This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome, everybody, to the WWE Podcast. It is Sunday, January 12th, 2025. What a hell of a week in WWE. Ton of content, and there's just no way I'm going to get through this in my 45 minutes to an hour here, but I'll do my best to touch on the biggest topics as I do. We'll run through SmackDown, a little bit of Monday Night Raw, and actually, I shouldn't say that because typically it is a very heavy SmackDown kind of second take. As you guys have heard Amanda from the UK cover SmackDown and give her thoughts on it, I tend to focus heavily on SmackDown because I haven't given my thoughts yet. But this week, Raw is just such an all-consuming show. I might give additional thoughts on it now that it's been nearly a week since we saw the debut on Netflix. We get episode 2 tomorrow night or tonight, depending on when you listen to this. And SmackDown had its own consequences, had its own big moments. Royal Rumble declaration by Roman Reigns. If you recall, all you have to do is just declare yourself in a match, and poof, just like magic, you're in, which is just absurd. I know I don't want, I don't need dozens of qualifying matches, but there has to be a better way. I mean, there just does. But Roman Reigns is in the match. We got a very strong performance from the werewolf of the bloodline and Jacob Fatu. And my God, he has taken over, and he really took over since the moment he debuted in terms of just dominance from Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa has been relegated to kind of like the Netherlands. He's been defeated time after time after time in big spot, and the fans just don't have any confidence in him. He doesn't have much heat on him. Roman Reigns has taken a little follow back, and now the money match is really either Cody versus Jacob Fatu or Roman versus Jacob Fatu. We'll see where that lands. Of course, The Rock is a wild card. If he ever wants to come back to being, the final boss instead of Dwayne Johnson, that'd be great. And now we have a hell of a night 2 for the second episode ever of Raw on Netflix. A lot to discuss, a lot to get to. I have follow-up thoughts, and really now that I've had a week to think about it and read everybody else's reviews and thoughts, I feel like I'm a bit justified in the way that I kind of tore Raw apart, while many looked at it as, my God, a landmark episode. And by definition it was, but of course the perception of how it came off is always going to vary. You have a show that definitely made its mark, but one that I think a lot of fans felt sour about, given the fact that we had 4 matches in 3 hours. It was much more about the brand than any storyline. The Rock in a single promo destroyed 2 storylines. We had just constant backstage, constant video packages, celebrity cameos. Everything was about brand, and I know I've beaten that phrase to death, but it's true, and hopefully that changes a little bit come night 2 of Raw on Netflix. But a lot of fans really were put off by The Rock, and if you listen to my mailbag that I did on Friday night, many of you, at least listeners of this show, echoed that same sentiment. Like, what the hell is The Rock doing? What is he doing? I'm glad at least Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't come out and waste an appearance. I'll have to say that. They couldn't come to terms, or Austin just turned it down, or WWE didn't even maybe reach out. Whatever the case, I'm not sad that Austin didn't come out for this just entertainment show. This just, circle jerk of a corporate, just a corporate collection of promos and presentation. Them even using heel and face in the introduction video. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. I can't, and I'll just say this one last time before I dive in. I know you guys are hearing me tired of me talking about it, but it's unbelievable that it's now just become commonplace with WWE nomenclature and their public statements by especially Triple H, who just seem to also can't stay out of the limelight. I don't know if that's by design or just happenstance or both, But Triple H cannot stay out of the limelight. Every time you turn around, he's the one presenting the new Intercontinental Championship or this new championship, that new championship, the start of a beginning of a new show or the start of a new network now, the start of WrestleMania, the start. Like, Trips, we get it. Stop. And you know the promo is not going to go anywhere other than it's going to end with, "Are you ready?" Which he's done about 400 times in the last year since he's really been at the helm since Vince left a year ago, officially. So, like, look, I love Triple H, but I have to say, he has pulled the curtain back more than Vince McMahon ever did. And the thing is, Vince knew the curtain was back, but at least he tried to close it at times. Triple H is like, no. Come on, guys. Come on in. We'll leave the curtain open. We're never going to close it again. Come on in. Walk around. You know, enjoy the shop here. Enjoy the store. You know, if you need to know any of how we make it, you want to know how we make the products we do, no problem. I'll tell you. You know, no secrets here. We don't want to insult your intelligence by having you try to invest emotionally in a show, but then also tell you at the same time that we're going to remind you all the time this isn't a real show. It's ridiculous. Like, I love Triple H. Well, I love him from the perspective of he felt fresh. Am I turning on him? No, I'm not turning on him completely. All right. This particular aspect is even one that Vince didn't do. And I know we look at Vince as the, Satan incarnate. I understand many of us do, and it's unfair because he's the one that created this whole damn thing, despite his personal weaknesses, which we all have. And let's be honest, we all do. I'm not absolving him of what he did, if they're true. Of course not. But we have to understand that many of us live in glass houses. And also, I wouldn't be here talking about wrestling. You wouldn't be here listening to me talk about wrestling. We wouldn't have something to watch multiple times a week for the love of professional wrestling if Vince did not exist and do what he did. And not everything Vince did was bad, obviously, or the company wouldn't have been taken global, right? So anyway, I'm on a bit of a tirade to start the show here. But my point is, circling back to Triple H, is that he has taken this, and I don't know if it's just Triple H or if it's Nick Khan too, and the higher ups TKO board, who are just like, hey, F it. Yeah, the fans know what we do isn't real, so we're not going to pretend that it is. It's like, no, but that's what movies do, don't they? Movies, TV shows. Hell, you go to a theater, your local theater, you watch, I don't know what's going on now, Wicked. You go into any theater, any play, whatever performing art that is out there, whatever version of that there is for you to watch, in order for you to get invested, you need to believe in the characters, even though you understand what you're about to watch as a performance. You understand that. But you want to get lost, and I can't get lost with a brand that is incessant on making sure that I know in their promos, in their video packages now to open the show, in their post-press conferences, that it's not a real thing I'm watching, that it's not a true competition, that what I'm watching is predetermined. I don't want that, but they feel that, well, we don't want to insult your intelligence. Well, no, you're not, right? You're not, because everyone knew it a long time ago. We all knew it. Of course we did. No one on earth believes that professional wrestling is actually real, where men and women are trying to hurt each other for championships. No one believes that. So you're not trying to insult our intelligence by making us believe something that we already know. No. Right? Like, we want to get invested. And the way you get invested is to have you try to make us believe. We want you to try to make us believe. See, they look at that as an insult. I look at that as being able to invest as a fan. And it's hard. I know I'm overstating this and going in circles, but damn, I've never seen this in 30 years. My God. Okay, well, I came in hot, guys. Maybe it'll cool down, maybe it won't. I've already probably tuned some of you out, or you've tuned me out rather, and earned myself a 1-star review. I don't care, because this is just the way professional wrestling is today, and I have a big issue with that if it's going to continue. You can re-educate the audience, it just takes time. This is not something unfixable. You'll never get it to the point, though, where fans suddenly believe again, and we're having conversations of, wow, do you think pro wrestling's actually real now? No, but you want moments. You want moments or a match or two where you're like, oof, I don't know, they really don't like each other here. Maybe they're taking some liberties. That's what you want. You want like you want in a promo going, ooh, man, there's some truth to that. That doesn't sound scripted. Tell me those are not the best promos. And you can't do that when you have a promo that is talking about the branding and throwing away storylines like The Rock did on Monday night. For what benefit? For him to transform back into Dwayne, cosplaying as The Rock, hugging and kissing Cody Rhodes bowing at the feet of The Rock. What is this? Damn. I know they had a mass amount of star power, but for me on Monday night, as I've had 6 days to stew on it, I come down on that show as a failure. I know that I, at the time, was like, well, star-studded show. We had a really fun match at the end, despite the fact that it was an insane overuse of finishes, which now, by the way, that overuse of finishes, how do you now go to PLEs, especially WrestleMania, and try to excite the fans now? Are you just going to continue this strategy forever? Is this going to just extrapolate into 12 finishers that it's going to take? I mean, seriously. Because once you do this, right? Once it takes 4 or 5 finishers to beat somebody in a Monday Night Raw main event match, and you hit literally 8, I counted them, 8 finishers. Not all were kicked out of. There were some scenarios, of course, where it didn't get kicked. I think it was about 4 that got kicked out of on both sides combined. But now you have to go to a PLE, and if you hit 1 or 2, you're like, oh, well, that can't be it. They just went to Raw, and Raw, they hit 8 of them. It's like going to have to hit 16. Then where does it end? Where does it stop? Where does this finisher prostitution stop? It has to stop somewhere. Because at this point, the finishers have become regular maneuvers that are branded as finishing maneuvers. But they're not, because as a fan, you don't feel like it's actually over. You don't buy in. You go, oh, well, that's their signature move, or okay, he hit it, but there's at least 2 or 3 more coming. And 99% of the time, you're right. So you're actually validated in your feelings about finishes not being finishes anymore. So Monday Night Raw, guys, was just the magnification of everything I hate about the evolution of professional wrestling today. And I don't want to hear, well, it's not pro wrestling anymore. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. WWE, when Vince McMahon left, I was very hopeful that with Triple H back and they were actually mentioning pro wrestling on the show again, and they went back to seemingly some long-term storytelling, not constant hot potato title changes. And I'm like, okay, cool. Some production changes, minor things here and there. Kevin Dunn gone. You're thinking, great. But that has really come crashing down now. If this is how Raw and just WWE in general is going to be presented, if they're going to try to pretend they're not a professional wrestling company, because they can pretend all they want and label themselves whatever they want. They're an entertainment company. But here's the thing. How do you entertain people exactly? What are people watching the show for again? Tell me stories, right? They watch stories. Okay. How are stories told? How are the stories resolved? How do stories begin? Right? What do people watch WWE for? Wrestling. Yes, the promos build things. Promos can have very memorable moments, as we saw this past couple of weeks with Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Yes. But what's the purpose of the promos and the video packages and all the backstage segments? All of those are to support what ultimately happens in the ring. So what you're ultimately shooting for is a wrestling match between the good guy and the bad guy. I don't want to hear from Triple H about, well, the fans know what heel and babyface are. Yeah, of course we do. Sure, great. Those insider terms have long since been exposed to the public, that fans like myself have been using forever. And I don't think I'm any smarter than anybody else. It's just it's a term that got leaked and then got used by the general public. But I don't need to hear it. If I start hearing it from Michael Cole on a weekly basis, oh my God, what a heel turn. No. Is he going to start saying too, well, Seth is now turned into the antagonist. My God, he was a great protagonist for 4 years as the champion. No. I mean, seriously, we're a step away from that. And the thing is, as fans, we've just accepted it. And we continue to support it because we continue to cheer. And what has really gotten fans, I think, to cheer over the last several years, 5 to 10 years even, are great gymnastic presentations style, what do I want to say? The gymnastic style presentation of professional wrestling, the acrobatic side of professional wrestling, which I have also told you, I believe, has really taken over as a crutch for the lack of ability to create deep characters that fans give a damn about. That is ultimately what makes professional wrestling great. That's what sells t-shirts. That's what sells t-shirts. That's what sells PLE events, if you can still buy individual PLE events, or at this point, subscriptions, right? Tickets, merch, video games. That is what sells it. When people can relate to a character. Sure, the fireworks, I'm sorry, sometimes it's just superficial, especially when you have no story like Mr. Ricochet, who just, again, people had zero emotional attachment to. They had more attachment to his girlfriend than they did him. She was more over than he was because she showed more emotion than he ever did. And yeah, sure. Okay, great. He was incredibly athletic in the ring. That's it though. Like that's all the dude had. It was a pretty good card to play, but that's all you can play over and over. You're going to lose. And he ultimately left the company. Not to say he had a bad career, but you're not going to achieve the level of success that you want if it's just relying on quote unquote great 5-star matches. Because why are the two men in the ring competing? The why is a hell of a lot more important, I would argue, than if it's a 5-star match or not. That is ultimately what people care about. We're human beings. We love to see great stories being told, stories we can relate to, stories we can live vicariously through. And you think back to some of the greatest storylines in WWE history. Undertaker, Kane, two brothers, one left for dead, one is resurrected, comes back, right? You think he's dead. He's not. They team up, they break up, they team up, they break up. Stone Cold and Vince. You have a subordinate and a power-hungry boss. Who can't relate to that? Simple stuff. Betrayals, friendship betrayals, romantic betrayals. And you need to get characters that people can understand easily. So I'm going way the hell off the rails. We're 17 minutes into the show. But that's what triggered my brain Monday night when I watched Raw. And not to say the show wasn't a bad show. I thought it was a failure from the perspective of what I like to see in a professional wrestling show. Sure, you need some entertainment. Sure, fine. Show the celebrities. Cool, great, whatever. You know what? You're on Netflix, but for every promo to be about the Raw on Netflix, people wearing shirts that say Raw is Netflix or whatever the hell it was. And all-encompassing, everything gets tossed to the side. Everyone should only care about this. Is a complete exposure of the business. Triple H talking about babyfaces and heels by name at the press conference. You have Triple H at the opening video talking about heels and babyfaces. Are you effing kidding me? And then we don't want to insult your intelligence. And they're doing they're actually insulting our intelligence by expecting us to invest in things when they constantly remind us what we're watching isn't real. That's how they're doing it. They're actually insulting our intelligence by telling us that they're not. Oh my God. All right. Hell of an open. We just started the show. Welcome to the WWE podcast, everybody. I hope you, my God, if I didn't lose everybody at this point, well, then it'll be a miracle. I'm going to check my drop-offs after about 19 minutes into the show here and see how many people listened after 19 minutes. But everything I say is true. I believe is true. Okay. Doesn't mean you believe it is, but I believe it is. I'm not a shill for WWE. Some people think because of the name that we're some related to WWE or we have some vested interest. No, we have none. Zero. None. I care about this show and this show's success and health and you guys. But if you don't like what I have to say, it's cool, man. Like, you're probably, a lot of you are sitting there going, oh my God, will you shut up? This is called passionate criticism of what I love. And that's why I love professional wrestling like you do, or you wouldn't be listening to this show. So Anyway, if you guys want to go ad-free, it's very awful segue into Patreon, but it is a good way to get all those ads you heard already. You probably already heard a couple of them. Get rid of them. Go to patreon.com/WWE podcast or go to Apple Podcasts and click subscribe. Get yourself an ad-free experience. Both of them are 7-day free trials. So check us out and get rid of those pesky ads. You don't have to hit skip. You don't have to go, oh my God, another ad. They're just gone magically. So Patreon and Apple Podcasts are great ways. Spotify, though, too. I think the Spotify feed is linked with Patreon. So if you're a Spotify listener, there is an ad-free option there, too. Okay, let's take it down a notch. I've been on a rampage the last 20 minutes. So let's talk about SmackDown a little bit. We might jump back to Monday Night Raw, but SmackDown was a little bit more of the land of the sane. And it was nice to see that we didn't have NASCAR ads all over the damn canvas for SmackDown. So that was a positive. And that's something I didn't even mention, and we'll get to that later. But as I take a breath, let's talk about SmackDown. So we have Paul Heyman in the ring. Nice to see him. And he says that it's one of the greatest honors of his career to announce that there's only one reigning, defending, undisputed tribal chief of the WWE. His name is Roman Reigns. And Heyman said Reigns authorized him to let fans know what he intends to accomplish next. Heyman said he wasn't just going to share it with everyone at home and everyone in the building. He wanted to share with the man who deserved to hear the news face to face. And brings out Cody Rhodes. Heyman put over Cody as a champion. They're suddenly shaking hands. Whatever. Okay, fine. I mean, if he did it to The Rock, I'll let this pass. The Rock was an egregious misstep. I mean, that was sacrilegious what happened on Raw. Effing religious. Okay. Breath. So, Heyman announced that Roman Reigns will enter the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble with the full intention of winning and challenging Cody for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Heyman asked respectfully what Cody wanted to talk about, but Kevin Owens interrupted before Cody could speak. They were ripping each other back and forth. Actually, Owens was standing in the crowd near a concourse area and started ripping into Cody. Said it was his fault that Reigns wanted a title shot because he let the bloodline rip him to shreds. And Cody exited the ring and met Owens on the steps for a brawl. By the way, what the hell happened to the package pile driver? In terms of the effects on Cody? Where's that? I mean, it's like Cody's magically healed. I would have appreciated a neck brace. If they're going to pretend that the pile driver suddenly now, even though it was used for decades as it was a big spot, and for some it was a finish, but all of a sudden now it will instantly kill anyone, pretty much. Fine. Whatever. It's been so long since they've used it, I'll just buy that. But Cody couldn't have at least been out there in like a soft neck brace to sell it a little bit, even though it's been a couple weeks. I mean, necks are about as serious as it gets, and you got dropped on your head. However, they brawled, and Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga come in, and Jimmy Uso comes out to even the odds, worked over Fatu and Tama Tonga while Heyman was leaving the ring. And Jimmy went to ringside and grabbed a chair, hit Tonga, and then hit Fatu. Fatu didn't really sell it. Man, he's going to be a big star if things don't go awry. Jacob Fatu, as I said, starting the show. He's going to be a big dude. He's going to be a big star. Cody walked towards the ring steps, down the ring. And the producer, Ken, I don't know. He entered the ring and he was super kicked by Jacob Fatu. Cody returned to the ring, cleared Tama Tonga, and Cody clotheslined Fatu over the rope and landed on his feet. And so Fatu was dispatched, but left standing. So he still is it's the werewolf, right? Not Wolverine, werewolf. All right. So still keeping Fatu looking stronger than ever. Stronger than Solo ever looked, I have to say. So good to see. Good to see here. All right. Chelsea Green versus Michin for the women's championship, women's U.S. championship here. And it lasted, let me see the time here. Well, it seemed kind of quick. Yeah, 8 minutes, a little over 8 minutes, with Chelsea Green beating Michin. And here's the finish. All right, if you want to hear the finish, you didn't watch it. Meechin had Green down in the corner when she hit her with a cannonball. Meechin then covered Chelsea for a 2 count. A short time later, Meechin kicked Green and then went to the apron where she booted Niven. All right, Niven was at ringside. Piper Niven. Meechin opted to perform a senton onto Niven, went up top and executed a crossbody block, but Chelsea Green rolled through and held the tights to get the 3 count. So, Chelsea Green retains the Women's U.S. Championship. Solid match. And Meechin, who they've been trying to do a little bit of something with as of late, loses a big one here, but the out is she was using the tights. So there's that. Los Garza, Angel and Berto with Santos Escobar and Elektra Lopez took on Pretty Deadly, Elton Prince and Kit Wilson. This match was 9 minutes long, with the victory going to Angel and Berto here, and the end of the match was Angel getting the better of Wilson. Wilson looked to the entrance area, called for help from DIY, which are Gargano and Ciampa. A short time later, Prince went up top and was crotched by Escobar while Lopez distracted the ref. Angel and Berto hit their finish, and that was that. So, yeah, distraction finish. All right, Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight for the U.S. Championship. This is a match that went 14 minutes, so decent-sized match here with LA Knight beating Shinsuke by an apparent DQ. And so no transfer of championship, but here's what happened. Nakamura stuffed a BFT attempt, hit Knight with a spinning back elbow. Nakamura hit the Kinshasa, covered Knight, who put his foot over the bottom rope to break the count. Nakamura placed Knight against the exposed turnbuckle and then charged. But Knight moved, and Nakamura's knee hit the exposed turnbuckle. Knight went for the pin, but Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga attacked him to end the match. Nakamura left the ring. Fatu and Tonga were beating up Knight. And Cody and Jimmy run out and fought Fatu and Tonga. And Cody and Jimmy got the better of the Knight and tossed the bloodline over the barricade. And Cody got a mic and told Aldis not to send Fatu and Tonga home and called for a tag match later in the show. And you saw where this is going. A Teddy Long special here. 6-man tag. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, Motor City Machine Guns. Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin versus A-Town Down Under, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. This match was 12 minutes. And in the end, we got the Motor City Machine Guns beating A-Town Down Under. Has A-Town Down Under won a match like in the last 6 months? I mean, we kept talking about them breaking up, and then they don't, and then breaking up, and then they don't. But they don't win ever. My God. So, yeah. Moving on. Nia Jax was in her dressing room. Candice LeRae entered the room, and LeRae said she just saw Tiffany and added that she was headed to the ring. Jax wondered what she would say and then said she would go congratulate her. So Tiffany comes out, and Byron Saxton was in the ring and congratulated her, and Stratton thanked him and said it's Tiffy time, and she said it's been a Tiffy turn of events and mentioned she's 25 years old and holds the championship. Saxton brought up the way Nia Jax bullied her, and Stratton cut him off and said Jax didn't bully her, and Stratton said that she befriended Jax and earned her trust, and said that Jax thought she was a stupid blonde and asked who's stupid now, and she said to put some respect on her name and tell her what time it is. Cued Nia Jax, and she said, "You ungrateful little S." It was censored. Jax said she could kill Stratton. Now we're talking about... You notice the kill word? Anybody else notice that over the last, year? Kill has been used a lot. I mean, how are you going to say you're going to kill someone? You can't follow through on it. What are we killing people for? I know it's a phrase. It's just a term. It's just an overused phrase. But I don't know. It never used to be used in wrestling. I'm not going to go on a rant about it. Let's continue. I've already done enough of that tonight. So Jax continued to talk. She congratulated Stratton and said, for using her 2 brain cells. Jax told Stratton that it took her long enough and entered the ring. Tiffy time chant broke out. And Jax said, now you either give me my championship back or I'm going to take it from you. And Jax approached Stratton, but she stopped when she heard entrance music. Bayley walks out. Yes, Bayley still works here. And she told Jax to shut up. And Bayley said Stratton got her if her plan was all along. That was her plan all along. And said she thought Stratton was stupid. And Bayley said she knows Jax is stupid and laughed at Jax for being outsmarted. And Bayley, well, by the way, Bayley, you're not exactly one to talk. How many times has Sasha Banks turned on you? I mean, how many times have people turned on you? Dakota Kai. How did you not see that one coming leading up to last year's WrestleMania? Sasha Banks turned on you. How many times? You're not exactly in a position to talk, Bayley, but that's for another time. So Bayley said it's only fitting that she take the title from Stratton because she helped Stratton win. So women's tag team champions come out, Naomi and Bianca Belair. Naomi said she had Jax beat last week and would be holding 2 titles if it wasn't for Stratton. Naomi said anyone who wants to fight Stratton has to see her first. Jax said nobody cares about Naomi, which is really kind of funny and halfway true. It just is, unless she's revealed as the attacker of Jade. We'll see. Jax slammed the heads of Naomi and Belair together, and Bayley joined in the duo in fighting Jax. Stratton returned to the ring, hit a world's prettiest moonsault on all 3 women, and grabbed her belt and headed backstage. And Nick Aldis came out and booked Bianca versus Naomi, and versus Nia Jax versus Bayley in an immediate fatal 4-way to determine the number 1 contender. Really good. I like this a lot, actually. I didn't think that was going to happen. So, I guess also, how does this turn Tiffany Stratton babyface? I mean, I don't know. She didn't. I guess her turn was that she finally cashed in on Jax, but we all kind of saw that coming anyway. All right, moving on. So here we go. The Fatal 4-Way to determine the number 1 contender for the Women's Championship. 5th match of the night. And Bayley ends up getting it, hitting the Rose Plant Naomi, who you kind of figured this is a 17-minute match, record-setting match time for women. I mean, I know 4 women are in it, but this is like, in some cases, literally 10 times as long as some women's matches on Raw or on SmackDown some weeks. And so Bayley was there, or Naomi was there to take the fall. She got hit by the Rose Plant. Bayley wins. Bayley wins here. And, I mean, that's fine, I guess. There's no chance Bayley wins, but she's the first one up. It makes sense, though, you put somebody with a new champion knowing that person doesn't have a chance, more than likely. So Bayley's kind of a good first opponent. I feel bad saying that, given it's Bayley, and we've all kind of forgotten how good she is, or can be. It's been a couple of years since Bayley has really felt like she's Bayley. The last time I feel like she felt like Bayley was when she returned at SummerSlam 2 years ago with her group, bringing back Dakota Kai, Io Sky, when they were Damage Control and actually people cared about the group. At least that lasted for about 45 seconds. Ever since then, it's just been a weird downslide for Bayley, and that's kind of crazy to say, given she won the championship last year. But her championship win was very quickly forgotten. You know why? Because they didn't do anything with her. They did essentially nothing with Bayley after she won, and her and Io had a hell of a match at WrestleMania. Okay, so let's continue here. Cody Rhodes spoke to Jimmy and brought up Roman Reigns. Cody cut him off and told him that he knew it was coming. Cody said he'd see Jimmy in the ring and made his exit. All right, so we got a little bit of a Carmelo Hayes segment. I can't go through everything here. There's just so much. But Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso versus Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. This match was 13 minutes. And Jacob and Tama Tonga beat Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso. And it was because Kevin Owens comes out. Cody was left in the ring. It went after Owens. Cody hit Owens once, and they went to the back. In the ring, Jimmy hit Tama Tonga with an Uso splash. Jacob Fatu broke up the pin. Fatu slammed Jimmy's head off the broadcast table repeatedly, and then brought Jimmy back inside the ring, put him up for a DDT, and Fatu hit a double jump moonsault and got the victory. So, good match here. 13 minutes. A good, solid, you know what this was? Generally? A wrestling show. Yeah. With promos that made sense. Generally. That's what this was. Really good. In comparison to Raw, if you like to watch a wrestling show for, heck, I don't know, wrestling, this definitely tickled your itch, or scratched the itch, because you don't tickle an itch. That'd be like torture, wouldn't it? So you scratch the itch of getting wrestling on a wrestling show. Who knew? So that's the SmackDown skinny, as they say. As you guys can always get another opinion, of course, by Amanda from the UK. Does a great job every week. She's our official SmackDown reviewer, and she usually gets everything up and ready by early on Saturday morning for you guys. So it's usually ready to go. She's very timely. I appreciate that. And so go listen to her if you'd like to hear another opinion, another voice that's not just ranting for 40 minutes like I have been. But outside of that, I mean, hey, back to Raw tomorrow night, back to the billboard canvas, back to hopefully, storylines that they don't just throw away. And by the way, when I say that The Rock threw away 2 storylines, he threw away The Rock versus Roman and The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. If they truly don't have anything for The Rock at WrestleMania 41, they just crapped all over it. I mean, it just... For absolutely, it's just, it makes you very hesitant to get invested in storylines when you see stuff like this too. Because it just is, you don't feel like you're being rewarded for paying attention and for caring and for getting invested into, characters on TV. So we'll see how, that all plays out. But I did take a bit of an issue with that, as you may have understood, or I'm not sure I really made clear over the last 40 minutes here. May have been a little bit vague. But, so yeah, anyway, we got a big Monday Night Raw here. Still, we do. We got, we got the women's, Intercontinental Championship here. Let me take a look here. So the WWE Raw preview, let's take a look. Monday Night Raw preview. What's tomorrow night? Tomorrow night is the 13th. So let's take a look. I should have done this probably well before. And we have, that's right, Chad Gable versus, we have probably Penta. It's got to be. And there's just no other luchador that we even know is available that's a big name. It's got to be Penta versus Chad Gable, where Chad Gable's clearly going to lose. You can pretty much bank the house on that. We've got Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. Yes, that's happening, which that's something for Kaiser, I think. We have Finn Balor versus Damian Priest in a street fight. And again, this is taking place in San Jose. We have Lyra Valkyria versus Dakota Kai for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. One of them will be declared the first ever Women's Intercontinental Champion. That should be a fun match, probably 12 to 15 minutes, I hope. And the Balor Damian Priest should be also the final wrap-up of those two, by the way, too. I think that should be. That should be the final one, because I think we're all ready to move on from Finn and Damian in any kind of version of the Judgment Day. So, yeah, I mean, outside of that, I hope these aren't the only 4 matches on the card. Please. I mean, you can't do 4 matches in 3 hours. It's just, this is much more of like, okay, fine. Last week was the corporately created show for all the, the corporate suits to, and I'll say this because it's just such a perfect word, circle jerk each other. That's what it was. A big glad handing circle jerk for non-wrestling fans. And this week should be back to business. This week should be back to business, back to storylines. I do wonder too, how was The Rock handling this criticism of him not being the final boss character? Because the criticism has been pretty loud, I have to say. And it's not just because I'm seeing confirmation bias of basically meaning I'm only seeing the things I want to see, and then that means it's everybody else feels the same way. No, I mean, there were some people I saw on X, other places that really enjoyed Raw, and that's great. And I did to some extent too. Really did. But the whole Rock thing really, really set the tone. The Triple H need to always come out and introduce. Remember, he even introduced the completely useless and already forgotten, deservedly so, Crown Jewel Championship. Remember that? No one cares about it, but we had to pretend to for like a month. Yeah, I don't know. But nonetheless, it was still a week to be remembered. The Hulk Hogan boos. And it's always interesting when people don't understand why Hulk Hogan's booed. I don't have any real strong feelings towards Hulk. I don't really have a love or hate for him. I have a respect for him. I will admit, when he came back in 2002, I was there when Stephanie McMahon announced him as part of SmackDown in 2002. I was a big fan of it, and mainly because I was there for that show, but also because it's Hulk damn Hogan, right? It's Hulk effing Hogan, I should say. And at that point, I was a big fan because it's like, damn, this is like the biggest star in the industry, and he's back in the ring. And over the years after his retirement, it kind of just felt like, oh, okay, man, cool. You're here to just say, what you're going to do, brother, and then leave and throw a couple punches, maybe a leg drop and leave and leave. And it's just like, it got old. And so I just kind of felt neutral about it. The last big moment for me with Hulk was WrestleMania 30 with Austin, Rock, and Hogan, when he called it the Silver Dome, and it was a Superdome, infamously. Still a great clip, because you can see the moment that it switches in Hulk's mind at WrestleMania 30. You can see the correction in his mind because his lips like quiver, and he's like, "Oh crap, yeah, we're not in the Silver Dome. We're not in Michigan, right? We're not in Detroit. We're in New Orleans." So always a great moment. But after that, it kind of faded for me. I mean, it's been about 10 years since I've had any kind of a significant Hulk Hogan moment. And it's just, for me, I feel neutral. But for people that don't understand why Hulk Hogan was booed, the biggest thing is, and I know people don't want to believe it or don't pay attention to politics, so they think it's not a reason because they don't pay attention to it. Politics are huge in LA. Okay. People are very passionate about their particular perspective. And when you have one of the faces of the opposing political party in your, in your sights, you're not going to be very polite. You're not going to be very welcoming and warm. And so that's a big reason, but not the only reason, why people booed him. And for better or worse, that's a part of why it happened. And having come out there and shamelessly promote a beer that nobody's probably going to drink too. It's also, you're shamelessly here to plug crap too on top of it. It was just a perfect storm of crap for Hogan. It'll be very fun to see if they decide to ever bring him back. Because here's the thing, it'd be perfect for a heel turn, but he's 71 years old. Like Terry Bollea ain't having another match. He's not doing it. Unless you're in WWE 2K24 or soon to be 2K25. He's not having another match. So always fun, when you hear that kind of reaction and hear what they try to do. Do they try to fight through it? Do they pretend it's not happening? Do they pivot? And in this case, Hogan's like, hey, they're giving me 2 minutes. I'm going to say what you're going to do. I'll promote my beer brand and I'm out. So that's what they did. And that's probably the right decision because there's no angle there. There's nothing to do. There's no payoff. You just do what you're there to do, pretend it's not happening, and move on. But I would love to have them imagine if Hogan opens Raw tomorrow night. I mean, you hear his music hit. It's never going to happen. But they're in San Jose. So they're making their California rounds. Pretty much any city in California. I mean, you're in the bluest state, and then you're going to be in one of the bluest cities in the bluest state in terms of politics. I know people don't want me to talk about politics, but it is a big reason why Hogan got booed. But if Hulk Hogan opens Raw, I would do it just to troll the fans. I would do it. I really would. If I was a WWE, I would. But I wouldn't have maybe Hogan come out. It would just be a heel trolling the fans. Something like that. I don't know. But they won't do it, and they shouldn't. I just want them to get back to business. Just get back to regularly scheduled programming. That's all I want. I want them to get back to just telling stories in the ring, making us invested, Basics. And it's almost like they're trying to reinvent the wheel. They're trying to reinvent something that doesn't need to be reinvented. And that's a big issue with, of course, what happened this past Monday night. But then we're on to the Rumble. All right, Rumble is only a few weeks away. 3 weeks as it stands, I believe, right? 3 weeks from yesterday. Monday night, or the Royal Rumble comes to us. And they're going to really lay into that, and they should. They should lay into the Royal Rumble. Who's declaring, who's not, maybe a qualifier match here or there in terms of positioning in the Rumble, who gets the 30 spot, that kind of thing. And that's where it'll, I think, ultimately lead. John Cena, I didn't even mention John Cena. That's how much of a non-factor he was for me on Monday night, despite the fact that it's his kickoff to the retirement year of John Cena, where we get to hear the constant thank yous and the make-out fest with every single crowd. I hate that crap, but it's John Cena, last time to see him. So, that is certainly, I think, if you have a chance to see John Cena, go see him. I don't know if he'll be on Raw. I don't know. Maybe. If he has 37 dates, is he going to burn one of them just to show up and cut another promo? I don't know. I mean, what's he going to do? I would say no, because he has no one-on-one program. It's a Rumble. So he's just generally, one of the top potential winners of the Rumble is John Cena. I think he's at the forefront of one of the, probably in the top 3 in terms of betting odds. I have to go check the odds in Vegas, but I would think he's in the top 3 when it comes to favorites to win. Even though John Cena on Monday night tried to act funny and coy of saying, but what if? It's like, John, listen, you haven't won a whole lot because you're not here. So it would make no sense if you are winning and then not showing up and everyone else takes the loss. It doesn't help anybody. Of course you're going to lose. But if you're back full time, can you be serious? Just a little bit. Not all the time. I don't need him being dead serious all the time. But this funny version of John Cena and pretending to be coy and breaking the fourth wall, I don't need any of that. That's not fresh or new or groundbreaking or revolutionary or cute. Breaking the fourth wall is annoying. It's annoying and it's embarrassing. I think that's also part of it. Breaking the fourth wall when you're a wrestling fan, when they do it, it's embarrassing because you're sitting there going, oh yeah, wait, why am I getting invested in this? Why am I getting so caught up? They just remind me, oh yeah, that's right. They're putting on an act. It's all a performance. Are you entertained? Right? It's embarrassing, especially imagine watching this with a wrestling fan that's kind of just starting to peek their nose back in, peek in the window, as I always say, of when WrestleMania season comes around. So that's when a lot of fringe fans come back, and especially with all the noise that the Raw Netflix debut made, I'm sure some fans were already coming back for WrestleMania season. But if you have some of those fans and say you're watching it together, streaming it together, God forbid we go to each other's houses and watch Raw together. Some people still do that. How embarrassing it would be if you're the one that watches wrestling all the time and you're trying to get somebody back into it, and they're sitting there watching with you and they're like, what's happening here? So that's also a part of it. Is it's just flat embarrassing, and even secondhand embarrassment. If I'm sitting alone, I'm just like, oh my God. I feel sometimes, not all the time, and I'll always be a fan. So no matter what I say here, it's kind of a moot point because it's not going to stop me from watching. But there are times when I'm watching the product, even during the Vince McMahon era, it happened. And now during the Triple H / Netflix era, it's happened where I feel too old to be watching this. And I don't like that feeling. Again, it's not going to stop me from watching. It is what it is. I still go back and watch old Power Ranger clips from YouTube, right? Just for a nostalgic kick from when I was a massive fan of Power Rangers back in the mid 90s. And those of you who are Power Ranger fans, the Green Ranger story, one of the best. I think it was like season 1. The green candle burning. Oh, remember all that? Oh, nothing's better. But when I feel sometimes too old to be watching some of the product that they're putting out, that's kind of an embarrassing feeling. I feel like I'm just like, okay, I'm almost 40 years old here. And I'm watching this right now, trying to get emotionally invested in it. Why? I hate that. I don't want to feel that with wrestling. I want to feel like it's maybe not necessarily edgy, but it's age appropriate. I don't want to feel like I'm watching, I don't know. I was going to say Bluey, but I actually, as an adult, like Bluey. Bluey's it's a pretty good show. If you're a parent, you watch Bluey. It's not so bad at all. I don't know, like Coco Melon. God, that's one of the more annoying YouTube channels, but something along those lines. I'm just like watching it go, oh my God, this is just painful. This is embarrassing. Again, it's not happening all the time, but it does happen. So anyway, weird show today, guys. I apologize if I went off the rails a bit for most of the show, but the Monday Night Raw on Netflix just magnified a lot of the things that I personally, again, me personally, don't particularly like about this new culture of professional wrestling, of how we're supposed to view it and the feeling of it and how far evolved it's become. And here's the thing about evolving. Evolution is not always a good thing, right? Progression, I should say more specifically. Progression for the sake of progress is not always a positive. And you're thinking, well, what are you talking about? Progress is progress. That means you're moving forward. Okay, you want an example of something that's progressing that's bad? How about cancer? Right? Cancer progressing is bad. Okay, so progression isn't always and should not always be viewed as a positive in and of itself. It depends what's progressing and how. And pro wrestling is always going to continue to evolve. What people view as a 5-star match today is going to be changing and evolving over time. It takes time. It's not overnight. Over the years, it changes of how people react to what. But I think I'll stop there. So hope I didn't bum you guys out too much in this show. I'm sure I'll get some of those comments that I don't know why he watches wrestling. All he does is complain. Hey, you want to take it as a complaint? It's me just ranting about how I know they could make the product better. I'm a viewer, and I've been viewing it for 3 decades. I think I have a little bit of credence with my opinion, a little bit. Many of you have been watching a lot longer than me. Some of you a lot shorter. But the longer you watch something, it doesn't mean you need to be doing that thing to have an opinion on it, and an opinion that holds value. So some people, oh, you never stepped foot in the ring. You don't know. Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't need to. You want to know why? Because I'm the customer. I'm the one funding the organization that's paying you to do what you want. I don't need to be in the ring or backstage to tell you when something sucks. That's the thing. The qualifications for giving an opinion don't rely on me doing what you do. Okay? I've had a lot of criticism about that too sometimes. I can still have an opinion, and either it's a good opinion or a bad opinion, but my experience really in the ring should have nothing to do with either my opinion being good or bad or valuable or not. But, all right. Anyway, if you guys want to get rid of the ads, head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Spotify does offer an ad-free experience too. I believe it's right there at the top of my show page, my profile page, or Apple. All offer ad-free experiences if you want to get rid of the ads you've heard tonight. So thank you, everybody, for listening. I'll be back. Maybe I'll throw a nostalgic show out there tomorrow, Royal Rumble review. In the spirit of WrestleMania season, in the spirit of Royal Rumble season, I'll throw out a previous review, and that'll be fun. It's always fun to do the Rumble reviews. And when I used to have co-hosts and have time to do co-hosting, those are always fun. But that'll do it for me tonight, guys. Thanks so much for listening, and talk next time.